Okay, we're going to get started today. Good morning and welcome to the Los Alamos National Laboratory Virtual Subcontractors Forum. And I hear that we have quite a few people from across the country joining us today, so welcome and thank you for logging on. We have some really valuable information to share with you today. First, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Juliana Martinez Barbie, and I will be your forum moderator this morning. I am the director of the Small Business Development Center at Northern New Mexico College. The Small Business Development Centers, they're known as the SBDCs across the nation. We provide no-cost business consulting and training to assist in starting a business or expand and improve an existing business. The SBDCs are helping businesses stay in business, grow their business, and find new opportunities and navigate through this federal COVID program and adapt to new changes in our new economic environment that we're in. We are a local, national, global business resource, and with certified SBDC business experts, we're ready to assist. We are located in every community across the country. Our SBDC is really fortunate to have an outstanding partnership with the Small Business Program Office at Los Alamos National Laboratory. Together, we are really helping our businesses in our areas grow and create job creation. I would like now to go briefly over the agenda with you on what we're going to be going through today, just so you kind of have an idea of what's coming up if you have not seen the agenda. We will be having the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization give a presentation. We will have a really nice fireside chat video. Then we will have a presentation on managed category for construction work projection. And we will have another presenter with detailed discussion of specific opportunities under the managed category for construction. Another presentation, managed category for construction updates, roles, and responsibilities. We'll have a procurement transportation update, and that'll be followed by New Mexico Small Business Assistance Program. And then the Small Business Update and Procurement Opportunities will also be presenting. A little bit about the forum logistics today before we get started. After each presentation, the presenter will answer a few questions from the chat, so be sure and put your questions in the chat. Any questions that we don't have time for, they will be answered and they will be posted on the website. And also all the slides, the slide deck today will also be posted on the website, and be looking at the chat because the website will be also typed in there, so be looking at that as well. Because also at the end of the forum, there will be a survey, and so please take a few minutes to fill that out, and it just dictates the future forums, and your feedback is really, really important there. So let's get started. I want to introduce Drew Fuller, the Director of Acquisition Services Management Division at Los Alamos National Laboratory, and he will now give the welcome and opening remarks. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you, Juliana. I like to do that first on all my calls. Sorry about that. And Happy New Year to you and everybody else. And really appreciate all the turnout on the call today and everybody's participation. What we're going to talk about today, and Juliana really did a good job summarizing the agenda, really how you do business with the Department of Energy and with Los Alamos National Laboratory and the needs of the laboratory and the construction area and others. And so, really appreciate everybody on this call. We've had a lot of communication with suppliers and offering capability statements. People have reached out to me directly and Chris, and we want to encourage you to continue to do that. One of the more important things on this call today, we're getting a little more organized in how we take that input and start to use it. And so today we'll talk a little bit about how you get registered to do business with the lab. And so all of our suppliers going forward will be need to be registered suppliers. So there's going to be a couple of opportunities as we go through the presentations to do that. One, we'll put a link in the chat to allow you to request a registration, and we encourage everybody to do that. We want everybody that's been participating on these calls to register with us so we have visibility and we can easily share opportunities with you as we move into our new Ariba system. The second opportunity will be to provide some information about your company in response to the survey that we'll share at the end of the presentations today, and that'll give you an opportunity to provide some information that we need to get you registered. We really encourage everybody to get registered quickly. We are working to start to use the Ariba system, and I won't steal anybody's thunder. We'll go through that in more detail in later presentations. But we'd like everyone to quickly register if you're interested in doing business, and that'll allow us to start to take the next step in how we operate as an organization. So thanks for all the attendance today, and really appreciate the OSDBU's participation. Nicola, your presentation, and thank you for participating with us today and helping us understand some of the things that the Department of Energy has to offer to support subcontractors and how to make it easier to do business in our industry. So thank you, Juliana, and with that, look forward to the other presentations.
Thank you, Drew. At this time, I'd like to give a really warm welcome to Nicola. She is the Procurement Analyst Small Business Technical Advisor for the Office of the Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, U.S. Department of Energy. She is a technical advisor with the Small Office of Small Business Disadvantaged Business Utilization, and as a procurement analyst, she analyzes and interprets contracting policies and directives, and she provides guidance and assistance to organizations that implement regulations, policies, procedures, and ensuring compliance. Her principal duty involves providing support to the Small Business Administration Procurement Center representative. And before joining the Department of Energy, Nicola worked for the U.S. Army Medical Research Material Command and for the Office of Small Business Program as a Deputy Associate Director and a Small Business Specialist. Nicola also served honorably in the U.S. Navy for almost 8 years. Let's give a welcome to Nicola. Thank you, Nicola.
Thanks, Juliana, for allowing the DOE OSDBU the opportunity to partner with the Los Alamos National Laboratory Small Business Program Office in bringing vital information to this audience. Greetings, everyone. My name is Nicola O'Hable, as Juliana said, and I'm an analyst at the U.S. Department of Energy, Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization, or as it is oftentimes called, the OSDBU. Next slide, please. Thank you. For your company to be successful, it is critical that you understand the mission of the agency you are targeting. It is important to know what the agency purchased, what methods are used to purchase their products and services, and the policies and regulations that govern the agency's procurement. My presentation will focus on several topics identified on the screen, such as our history and mission, DOE operating environment, or challenges, and best practices. Next slide, please. Now, the U.S. Department has one of the richest and most diverse histories among the agencies in the federal government. The DOE was created in 1977, and as many of you might know, it can trace its history to the Manhattan Project effort to develop the atomic bomb during World War II. It is also a conglomerate of various energy-related programs that were previously dispersed throughout the federal agencies. The DOE's mission is to ensure American security and prosperity by addressing its energy, environmental, and nuclear challenges through transformative science and technology solutions. So we're big on technology and we're big on science. Our legacy, our mission, and our uniqueness dictate how we operate and what we buy. And I'll say that again for some of the members of the audience who are not familiar with energy. Our legacy, our mission, and our uniqueness dictate how we operate and what we buy. So if you have to be a little bit more stringent in being able to perform work for the DOE, these are some of the reasons why. Next slide, please. As you engage the Department of Energy, it is important to know where the business opportunities are located. This map depicts the various DOE locations across the United States. Each location has its own mission that supports the overall DOE mission of scientific and innovative discoveries, nuclear security, and environmental responsibilities, as noted on the previous slides. It is important to note that the DOE has 22 management sites, which we call M&Os. These sites are government-owned but contractor-operated. They're operated by the prime contractor's business model. So it's important as you visit the map and visit the various locations. Los Alamos, Orlando, is going to be operated different from Sandia than Lawrence, Livermore. So it's important that you know the operating guides of each of these labs because they differ slightly based on their own management. If you take a look on the legend, it also has site facilities, our cleanup sites, our power marketing agents, and our field offices. So this gives you a picturesque view of the Department of Energy throughout the United States. Next slide, please. This slide, which I affectionately refer to as our brag sheet, tells the story of DOE's unwavering commitment to the small business. Let's pause here for a minute, and I'll just wait until the slide comes up and look at some of the numbers of what we were able to achieve, not only in fiscal year, it's going to start with fiscal year 19, and while the slide is coming up, I just want to say that fiscal year 20 data is still being calculated, and so I thought it not prudent to put it in the slide official. So when our information is completely tallied and reported to the SBA, the Small Business Administration, then we'll be able to our FY20 achievement on our website. I'm just still waiting for the slide to come up. But as the slide comes up, it's important to note that the Department of Energy in FY19 did $7.68 billion worth of procurement to the small business arena. And that is a notable accomplishment for the Department of, and we are proud that all our small business program managers throughout the DOE, our contracting office, our program office, we all worked tirelessly to ensure that small business was able to get at least $7.68 billion worth of opportunities from the Department of Energy. When the slide does come up, it will also show that $5 billion of that $7.68 billion was awarded direct award. So small businesses receive this as a prime contract or as a first tier to the M&O site, which was counted as small business prime. So that's very important to note. And 1.62 of that $1 billion was through subcontracting. So we're very proud of our record. And slide 6 tells what the DOE buys. And listed on slide 6, you would find the top 5 NAICS codes that we were able to achieve in FY19. We have the prime dollars and the subcontracting dollars. And when you get a chance to look at the slides, you will notice that the NAICS code are similar for both the subcontracting category and the prime contracting categories. But just to note that these are not the only thing that the DOE purchased. We cover the spectrum of all of the NAICS codes, but the top 5, the top 10, the top 20, you can find that on our website, denotes what we purchased in more of an abundance. So when you get the chance, do your homework and take a look at what the DOE purchases over the fiscal years. I'll be moving on to slide 7. The major takeaway from slide 7, which is our best practices, is market research, market research, market research. Did I say market research? Yes, I said market research. It is important that you do your homework. Your homework will tell you, hey, how often does this agency purchase this product or services? Is the current contract coming up for recompetition? I mean, who won it the last iteration? How much did they pay for it? What make code did they use? Did it go full and open? Was it a small business set aside? Are there subcontracting opportunities? It's very important that you take the time as you research the labs, the various labs in the DOE and also the other federal agencies, that you do your homework. On this slide, we talk about research. We talk about knowing the products and services that each site procure in abundance. Review the site's separate acquisition forecast. Later in the presentation, you will see, I'm not able to go live, but I'll provide you a link that has all our forecast opportunities. It's important that you look at that. The DOE also, and I should say I'm talking from a prime side. As I talked about, I represent prime contracting from the federal side, and the MNOs represent the subcontracting from their side. There are prime contractors operating these government facilities, and when they do have opportunities, it could be a first-tier subcontracting opportunities or various tiers. So it's important for you to note that. And also ensure that your socioeconomic certification and security classification. It's important. I can't tell you how important it is if you're trying to register for or apply for a woman-owned small business set-aside opportunity, that your certification is current. We cannot award you that contract as a woman-owned small business, as a service-disabled small business, as a total small business set-aside if your certifications are not current. So as you do your homework and as you pursue our opportunities, ensure that your certification is up to par. Also, we talk about targeting the various agencies. If you do, say you sell IT and you're going to target, I guess this is a bad example, but I mean, and I'm trying to say that make sure that the agency that you're targeting buys the services and products that your NAICS code promotes. Don't go to a site and offer something that they don't buy or procure, because then you're going to be disappointed. So that's part of your market research and your homework. It's important that you pursue low dollar requirements to build your past performance. In the past, we have had numerous government officials or officials that worked at the labs that they were responsible for $1 million worth of procurement. And when they launch out to start their own business, they might have the experience, but their company does not have the experience. And so there is a higher risk when you start your own company and you say, okay, you're going for $1 million contract when your company is 1, 2, 3, 4 years old. So it's important that you start small. Try to get the low dollar hanging fruit, as we say, to build your past performance, build your experience as a business owner before you pursue the large dollar procurement, because sometimes you're highly disappointed when you don't win the contract and you're wondering why, and probably because you're biting off a little bit more than you can chew at this stage. So just start slowly until your experience catch up with you. Finally, for this page, we're going to talk about resources. You need to utilize the free resources that the government is affording you. I am a free resource. The Lionel Small Business Program is a free resource. The SBA, your SCORE, your PTAP, but we provide vital information. There's so many things that we can assist you with, but we cannot write your proposal. We're not going to go through and read your business analysis. So there's certain things that we cannot do, but there's other things that we do great for you. So utilize us to the best of our ability, your ability, so that we can be mutually beneficial to each other. Next slide, please. This slide talks about how to engage with the Department of Energy. And it flows from what I just said before with our best practice. You need to be able to know who at the sites that you can communicate with. So the small business program managers, which AKA are called small business specialists, are vital stakeholders for you to get a hold of. The DOE has a link on our website that has a list of all the small business program managers throughout the Department of Energy at each of the sites. So I'm going to show you the link for that. Take the time to look through the directory to find the respective small business program managers for the site that you are targeting, especially at the labs, because they will have more intimate information about the procurement at these labs. On a previous slide that did not show, I think it was slide 5, I wanted to also mention that outside of contracting and subcontracting, prime contracting and subcontracting, we spent over $905 million in small business innovative research, small business technology transfer, through grants, through cooperative agreements, and through credit card purchases. So I just wanted to let you know that there are different opportunities outside of the contracting arena that small businesses can tap into and be richly rewarded in their business endeavors. So I want you also to be cognizant of that. Outside of contracting, we have the research arena. Thanks. So yeah, I'm still on slide 8. Engaging with the DOE. We talked about what program element or program office or M&O site or site facility that you intend to target, so that you, as you target them, selling them or you're seeking opportunities that the site actually perform in. I want to make special note to plan ahead, because some of the major requirements that comes out of the prime side and even from the subcontracting side, it takes 1.5 to 2 years. So these are opportunities that you might be targeting. So that's why you want to get a hold of the small business program managers at the various sites, so that you have some background information as you pursue these opportunities. Consider team and agreement is very important, especially in the small business arena. Sometimes we put requirements out there, and one company and one small business cannot do it on its own. So if you want a team, a joint venture, I can't tell you your business strategy, it's advantageous to you. And also, when we put out information, especially on the prime side, requests for information, sources sought notices, part of our market research. When we say, okay, we're looking for small businesses, it is important that you let your fellow competitors know this information, especially if you want it to be a set aside. There is a law called the Rule of Two. In order for a requirement to be set aside for a small economic group, such as a service-disabled, veteran-owned, a hub zone, a woman-owned small business, we need the Rule of Two. Some even make the Rule of Three. We want to make sure that we have 2 or 3 small businesses who are qualified and will also participate in the procurement process. So if you use all your resources, so you make it easier for the contract side to see you and know that you're there. Okay, next slide, please. This slide is slide 9. It's going to talk about our agency opportunities. Listed on this slide, you'd have the forecast of the headquarter office, and it's a listing, Excel listing of all our priorities. At the bottom of that page, you're going to have a listing of all the their respective links. So if you're looking for Las Alamos will actually be there. Sandia and all the various DOE sites would also be there, so it's easy for you to find these locations and their opportunities. It also has a listing of a small business directory. It also has a listing of the Fed Connect, which is the prime contracting vehicle that we use. It also has a listing of beta.gov, that's SAM. So that page denotes all of the vital links that you want to be aware of as you pursue opportunities in the DOE. Now I'm going on to slide 10. Slide 10 also provides other important links. So please look on that slide and you'll find various links to aid you in your search for DOE opportunities. I'm on slide 11, and this just highlights 2 other upcoming opportunities that we have. February 9th, we have a Sandia National Laboratory Small Business Outreach Program, and in August, from the 1st to the 5th, we had the DOE Summer 21 New Mexico Small Business Expo. I mean, if all goes well and Corona is under control, more than likely we'll be able to have that face-to-face. And the last slide I have here is my point of contact. You can always reach me via my email or my phone number, but if you go to our website, there is a link for you to upload your capability statement, and then we can reach out to you one-on-one. So if there are any questions, and I know that the slides are showing up as planned, you can always reach out to me. I'm my presentation, and I'm going to turn it over to Juliana if there are no questions in the chat.
Thank you, Nicola. There are a few questions in the chat. So one of the first questions is, what is the max net worth to qualify as a small business?
Now, that's a difficult answer, the question to answer, because there's different varying based on your NAICS code and your business size and what you're pursuing. So I couldn't give you a definite answer for that, but if you would like to reach out to us, that's a good question that you can pose on our website, and someone from my office could even meet with you, will meet with you, and discuss that further. But that's not a one-size-fits-all, so I couldn't answer that question right now. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. And the other one in the chat, and I think it's on your slide, it's the link to, what is the link to register as a vendor?
Okay, so if you go to the, I think it's on slide 9.
Yes,
I think if you go to the OSZBU website, or top of slide 10, if you go to the OSZBU website, you will see the information there. I don't want to tell you right. You will see from, and it goes from our energy.gov OSZBU website. You'll find a ton of information there, and you'll also find the link to register on our website.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you, Nicola, for a really great presentation. And again, thank you very much. And again, keep looking at the chat. If you do have any questions, please put them in there. And again, the slides will be posted on the website, and they will get a hold of all the panel participants today to let you know when the slide deck is ready for you. So thank you, Nicola. We're going to move on to our next. Thank you. We're going to move on to our next presenters. And actually, there's going to be a fireside chat video. And this is from Los Alamos National Laboratory operation leaders, and they will discuss the status of managed category for construction awards. I'd like to welcome Kelly Beyerschmidt. He's the Deputy of Director of Operations, Kathy Segala and Andy Tisler from Capital Projects, Scott Tingley from Facility and Operations, and Leanne Stribley and Drew Fuller from Business Services. Thank you.
Welcome to the Subcontractor Forum for Los Alamos National Laboratory. My name is Kelly Beyerschmidt. I'm the Deputy Director and Chief Operating Officer here at the laboratory. I'm real excited to have an opportunity to speak to you today and give you some updates. Many of you may remember that over a year ago, we hosted a subcontractor forum at the Buffalo Thunder. At that forum, we had over 500 participants. We introduced to the community the vital nature that subcontractors and suppliers bring to the missions of Los Alamos National Laboratory. At that time, we also introduced a new approach to partnering with the subcontractor and supplier community. This new approach promised to make longer-term commitments to that contractor community so that we could build stability in their workforces. We have many, many growing missions at the laboratory, and without the contractor and subcontractor and supplier community, we simply will not be able to execute those vital missions. The concept was to take a set of construction-related subcontractors and make long-term, multi-year commitments to those subcontractors so that they and their workforce could learn and basically become, in a sense, a part of our vital missions over a longer period of time. We felt like this would lead to a couple of things. One, learning to work with the laboratory is always a challenge. We are a very large place. We have many rules, many restrictions, but we also can teach subcontractors how to work with those without affecting their productivity or efficiency. We also wanted these subcontractors to have a stable workforce, 5 to 10 years worth of contracts in a way that would allow them to plan for their workforce needs of the future. You're going to hear from a panel today about where we've come since that period of time. We call them managed category for construction. This is the new term that we're using, and of course my team has thrown that on me today. But in a sense, this is basically getting people that can become a part of our team for the longer term. And you'll hear much more about that as we go forward. The community in which we work has a labor shortage. And we think that this is going to be very, very important to be able to make this long-term commitment to our subcontractor community so that they can actually manage, through that workforce challenge. So let me introduce the team. First, I'd like to introduce Kathy Segala. Kathy, if you would wave. She is the Associate Lab Director for Capital Projects, and she has with her today Andy Tisler, and he's the Director for all of our small projects at the laboratory. Small projects aren't always that small here at Los Alamos. Many of them range up to 20 million and beyond. I would also like to introduce our procurement team, beginning with the Associate Lab Director for Business Services, Leanne Stribley. Leanne, if you'll wave. Leanne not only does the business services, she has HR, finance, many other roles at the laboratory, but for this particular conference, she's supporting our supplier and subcontractor community. And her procurement director, the guy that issues the contracts with all of you, is Drew Fuller. Drew, would you mind waving? Yeah, Drew will spend a lot of time working with you in the future. We're committed to partnering with this community, and you'll see a lot of Drew and certainly Kathy's people. The last person I would like to introduce is Scott Teeney. Scott Teeney is the Chief Operating Officer for the Facilities and Operations Organization, and of course responsible for executing a lot of the maintenance activities and craft support activities at our wonderful laboratory. So again, welcome, and let me turn it over to Kathy so that you can learn more. Kathy, take it away.
Thanks, Kelly. And as Kelly said, welcome to our Subcontractor Forum. As we shared a year and a half ago, we have over $5 billion worth of work, capital construction alone, projected over the next 5+ years. Clear 30% of that we anticipate being subcontracted. Many of you are aware of the pit mission here at Los Alamos and a lot of the work that will be done inside of TA 55, which requires a significant number of our self-performed craft. So what we're going to be doing over the next 5 years, and really beginning this year in a very robust way, is taking some of the work that we would typically perform ourselves and increasing the amount of that scope that is subcontracted. We know that we cannot execute this program alone. We absolutely must have a strong, robust relationship with our subcontractor community. So we're going to be looking to partner with you, as I shared back at Buffalo Thunder. I think it was July of 2019, actually. All right. I committed to you then, we committed to you then, that we want to form very strong partnerships with our subcontractors and commit to you that we want to be a learning organization that learns and grows together. We believe that we both benefit from sharing lessons learned and helping each other improve. Vital to that success will be our ability to build trust between each other and to really hold each other accountable. We need to deliver on our portfolio of projects safely and at the quality that our customers require and demand. And we need to do that together on schedule. Okay, keeping schedules is extremely important to us here at the laboratory, but that doesn't take precedent over quality and safety. We must always keep quality and safety at the forefront. We know that we need to do more on our side to minimize interferences and to make it easier for you to work at the lab, whether that's through getting permits or ground penetrating radar or whatever other kind of support you require from us. So in order to build these closer relationships, we're going to be standing up a subcontractor advisory board, and all of our MCC contractors will be invited to have a seat on that board. We'll also be inviting you to nominate somebody from your company who will be a corporate sponsor and be part of our corporate sponsor program. Again, our focus is on teaming, partnering together toward our mutual success. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Andy Tisler to share some more information about the Subcontractor Advisory Board. Andy?
Hey, thanks, Kathy. As part of the Subcontractor Advisory Board, one of the things that we're really big and we need and we are desiring is to build this relationship with our subcontracting community. So the relationship between us at the lab and you guys as subcontractors are put together so that we trust each other and we can build that accountability between ourselves. As part of this Subcontractor Advisory Board, we'll meet, we'll discuss how we can continue to hold ourselves accountable. What do we as a laboratory need to improve upon? Some of the things that we as a lab need to do is how do we minimize our interference into you doing your job? We'll have discussions upon that. We'll talk about the champions. We'll talk about where we as a partner would like to move forward. What are some of the stumbling blocks that we have? What are some of the good practices that we're seeing not only possibly here up at the lab, but as you guys working outside of our laboratory in other industries, what are those other things that you see in other industries that we should be implementing here up the laboratory? Again, as Kelly pointed out in the beginning, we're trying to find a way to do our business better, how to do it cheaper, how to do it safer, and how we can get better with a quality product. That's what our advisory boards are going to do. You'll be invited to provide somebody like Kathy pointed out in the beginning, and together with the advisory board, we will help the group that's here as well as you guys get that partnership that is so needed between us here at the laboratory and you guys as subcontractors. I look forward to being on the advisory board. I look forward to working with everybody that's here, all of your reps on the advisory board. Again, it's so we can get that partnering that is so necessary. So with that, let me turn it over to Scott Tingey. Scott?
Hello, I'm Scott Tingey. Pleased to be here today. I want to talk a little bit about how F&O will be a player in this. So the lab has made good decisions, strong decisions to invest in our infrastructure portfolio, and that's central to what this lab's going to look like in the future. And as many of you know, there's a large backlog of repairs that need to be done, invested in around the lab, and the subcontractors will play a very major role in getting these done. Now this is not an all-inclusive list, but we would expect to see subcontractors very involved in our HVAC work, some electrical work, including breakers and switchgear. We'll see lots and lots of work in roads and parking lots, utility infrastructure. And then there'll be a fair amount of work where we're doing equipment replacements. So this is a piece of equipment that have run its lifespan and we're replacing that equipment. Now, again, that's not an all-inclusive list. There's a lot of work to be done, and we think subcontractors are a major tool for us to accomplish that work. But strengthening that relationship between subcontractor and laboratory is very, very important to us. We want strong partnerships, and that has benefits both for us at the laboratory and for our subcontractors. So with that strengthened partnership, we would expect to see reduced learning curves and therefore costs, both for us and for you, lower costs, and you'd have crews that were ready and worked on site before, understand what to expect, and we're ready to move from project to project, which will be beneficial for both of us. We'll work together more effectively to make changes as they crop up. All projects are going to have change, and if we have that good, strong partnering relationship, we'll be able to make those changes very effectively, efficiently. That'll save money for both of us and just have a better relationship in that area. And we'd like to move forward on incentivizing on-time delivery for required services. So if we can get work done at the schedule that we've agreed upon and at the price we've agreed upon, we'd like to find ways to incentivize that. And that's a few of the ways we'd like to see this partnership grow and expand over the years. Now, LANL's made great strides developing long-term maintenance investment plans. We now have plans in place that forecast future work for 5 years, and in many cases, most cases even, 10 years out into the future. So we understand the work that's coming up, and we'll be able to communicate that effectively. We have a rolling annual plan. We'd like to engage subcontractors so they understand the work that's coming up. They'll be very prepared to get ready for that work. They'll have the staff and the equipment they need, our resources, and plan those projects, again, really in a partnership way. The facility operation directors who work in each of our facilities will be huge partners with our subcontractors as we begin to execute this work. Again, I just wanted to say I'm very excited to be here with this group of people. We know that the partnership that we hold together is a big part of how we can be successful as a lab and as a nation here. So with that, I'll turn it over to Leanne and Drew to talk about contracts.
To support the lab's growth, we're soon going to roll out a new state-of-the-art procurement system. We've been working over this last year to redefine and transform and improve our processes for subcontracting as we get ready to roll out this change. The transformation is going to result in a more efficient and timely and transparent procurement, and that results in a better experience for our subcontractors. Transactions with LANL will be electronic end-to-end, exhibits will be simpler and more streamlined, and the process will be more standardized. Drew, would you like to share some more about the transformation?
Yeah, thanks, Leanne. As the guy that does the contracts, we're excited to help implement the engagement strategy that you've heard a lot about. And I'll tell you a little bit more about some of the things that we've got going on procurement to do business differently than we're doing today. As Leanne discussed, we've got some new procurement tools that we will be implementing in the next couple of months. And you'll be hearing a whole lot more about those through various opportunities, and we'll begin to publicize those. The first system that we're implementing is Fieldglass. That went live in December 2019. That system is going to help the lab manage contingent labor better. And so what you'll see from us is an RFP for contingent labor that'll likely hit the street in the spring. Awardees of that solicitation will get set up in the new Fieldglass system. The second system that we're implementing is Ariba. That will deal with all of the other procurement at the laboratory. So this is going to be a big hitter for the MCC, and one that we want to support you in getting set up to be able to transact business in. The first phase of that's going to go live February 15th, and you'll hear much more about that in the coming weeks. And the second phase is planned to go live May 17th. And so what we'll commit to do for this team is make sure that you have the resources and support available to get set up in Ariba so that we can transact business easier. To support the new systems, as Leanne described, we've implemented several process improvements in procurement to be able to really be easier to work with. And that's really one of the goals of the lab. We want to set you up to be an extension of the laboratory and to support our mission, and we want to make that easy to do. So the first thing that you'll see from us is a supplier training and development initiatives, and you'll see that we want to be transparent about what it takes to do business at the laboratory so that becomes easy for you to do. If we want to increase certainty for you and make it easy to do business at the laboratory. The second kind of big change, and you'll see that in the MCC contracts, is that we've simplified our contracting templates and approach, including our statement of work and other ancillary documents, to make it more clear what the requirements are to do business at the laboratory and what we expect our suppliers to do, and really make it easy to understand that. We don't want to hide the ball, and we want to make sure that if it's a requirement, we're explaining that to you, and you've got the opportunity to include that in your thought about the work that you're doing at the laboratory. That includes things like involving more operations staff, and Scott talked a little bit about that, and other stakeholders across the laboratory, so that we're being very transparent about what we need from the team. And then once we've kind of set those expectations, we're going to be much more diligent about measuring and incentivizing performance. And so you'll see in the contracts going forward, incentives and disincentives for poor performance, but measured against clearly defined key performance indicators and things that will let you know that, if it's important to us, it'll be in your contract and you'll understand that. We'll measure against it, things like cost and schedule and quality and safety. And you'll know based on sort of our performance feedback how you're doing against those measures. And finally, we're going to provide a much better forecast of the work that's coming at the lab. And so we want to be transparent about opportunities that are coming down the pike so that you have the opportunity to plan your business and really attack the work that you want to attack at the lab. So with that, a lot of changes. What we need from the MCC, and we will set up some sessions to have discussions about this. We're going to need this team to register with LANL as a preferred supplier so that we can do business in the Ariba network in the future. And so we'll provide some communications and some resources to be able to do that, but would ask this team to do that so that we can really begin to quickly enable our new digital procurement system and make transacting business much easier at the lab. I appreciate the partnership of this team and look forward to meeting everybody in the MCC and working with you going forward. Thanks, Kelly. And with that, I think I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Drew, and thank you, panelists. As you can see, our world has changed. We've gone from Buffalo Thunder to virtual conferences. But one thing hasn't changed, and that's the importance of these relationships with this subcontractor and supplier community. When we can make it easier for you guys to deliver high quality products, services to this laboratory, we all succeed. And that feedback from the panels, the multiple ways this team is trying to get that feedback is all intended to make it easier for contractors to deliver those high quality, safe services and products to this laboratory. So I hope you enjoy the day, and I hope that you really do ask some of those hard questions. Give us advice, give us counsel. If there are things we can do to make it easier for you to deliver for us, we want to do that, and we are committed at the highest levels of this laboratory to making that happen. So once again, thank you, and I'm signing off.
Okay, at this time, I would like to open it up for any questions, and I know we do have a few questions in the slide right now, so I'm going to read one. As a current small business subcontractor to Triad, will my company be invited to join the subcontractor working group that was mentioned during the fireside chat, or we need to register or request to become a member? And if so, how do we do that?
Juliana, this is Kathy. I think I can answer that.
Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Okay, yes is the answer to the question. You will be invited to have somebody be a participant on that advisory board.
Okay, and I do not see, that was the next question, Kathy, and I think you just, how many people will make up the advisory board? Do you know, Kathy?
So at this time, I don't know the exact number, but it will include representatives from all of our current small business contractors, as well as the managed construction category contractors. We're still in the process of evaluating those and making those awards. So at this time, I can't tell you the exact number.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Can you also answer, does LANL have a list of approved EPC firms for capital projects?
So I don't know if Drew is on, but the reality is we have several different
lists. We have some existing MTOA contracts. We also have our integrated contractors who are part of the Triad organization, and we have our named small business contractors as well. So that's in addition to the MMC contracts that we will be awarding.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
Okay, well, thank you, Kathy, very much. And if anyone has any more questions, just put them in the chat. They will be answered later and put on their website. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next presenter. And our next presenter is going to be Ms. Susan Stein. And I'd like to introduce Susan. She's from Capital Projects, Strategic Planning and Logistics Manager. And she will be giving a presentation here on managed category for construction work projection. Thank you, Susan.
Hi, thanks, Juliana. Just to follow up on some of the questions on the Subcontractor Advisory Board, we are just in the process of putting the charter in place. The key members of that board will be the MCC holders, and we expect them to act as the spokespeople for all of their sub-tiers and the general contracting community that they will be, or for the work that they'll be undertaking. So more to follow on that, and I would look to next month's forum to maybe hear a little more on that. We're fairly early in the process, as Kathy mentioned, with respect to membership and the rest. Okay, so the work projection. So in the video, you heard Kathy talk about the need to move some of the Lannel Craft work to subcontract. In fact, a lot of the Lannel Craft work to subcontracted services, because we need those craft to work in the TA-55 and the secured areas where clearances and HRP are requirements. So there's going to be a lot of work coming there, and that is smaller project work that requires a subcontractors or subcontracted workforce that can be ready with a very quick response on both pricing and ready to execute. So where normally a larger project will take, you'll get 3 to 4 weeks to 5 weeks, depending on the size, to bid. There's probably that amount of time for an evaluation period, and another month for mobilization. These are going to be very quick turnarounds. It's 3 or 4 days to price, maybe a week, and then we'll want somebody there to execute within a week after that. So we're working on that process now, but these as well will go through the MCCs, or a lot of it will go through the MCCs. But it's a perfect opportunity for either one of the MCCs directly, or potentially a smaller sub-tier that could work under an MCC to have a force that's ready there. And one of the things that we're looking for with this group, as Scott Tingey alluded to or mentioned, was somebody that's there, they understand it's a consistent crew, that's there ready to do the work immediately, and that learning curve has been achieved very quickly and is maintained because it's a repeat business. So that's one of the things to look for. Scott also talked about all of the major or the large amount of maintenance work and refurbishment work that the site is undergoing. So working to consolidate those projects into our overall project schedule or project outlook schedule, work projection outlook schedule, is underway now, and you'll see more and more of that. And the projects really do vary from small, under $1 million, many of them under 500K projects up to the very large projects. So, and each month at the forums, you'll see particular opportunities that are featured. You'll see a couple of those coming up as the next item agenda. Projection, Drew mentioned our work projection abilities are much improving, and that's part of what the strategic logistics organization is doing, strategic planning and logistics. We'll be working directly with the MCCs to provide the short and long-term outlook for their particular MATOCs or their particular contracts. But those will continue the opportunities, whether they're assigned to an MCC or outside of the MCC. And there will be a few that fall outside of the MCC. They'll continue to be posted on our opportunities website. So very key to keep looking there. We're working now through the full out-year portfolio and the near-term portfolio to assign those to the MCCs, produce some strategic planning as to where those would fall. Now that the MCCs are being put in place, you'll see in the upcoming presentation that those should all be in place within the next couple of months. So with that, unless there are any questions, I'll hand it over to Erwin Vargas, who's going to do some features or feature a couple of our projects that are coming up that are very exciting.
Okay, thank you, Susan. I think we have one question that I saw. Hold on one second. Can you please confirm that the land registration referred to is or isn't required, even if we're already registered and are already doing work there? If a new requirement is it because LANL isn't able to move incumbent contractors or registrants automatically into the new Ariba system? Are you able to answer that?
If Drew or Chris or Brad is on, they can probably answer it better than I can. If not, I'll take a stab at it.
Can I answer that?
Okay, perfect.
Hi, Juliana. This is Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel.
As we transition to Ariba, we need to essentially build back up our supplier database. And as part of that, all suppliers need to register in Ariba. We will be transitioning contracts, some contracts, but we will not be transitioning kind of the base supplier information. So we are asking all suppliers, even if you've registered with LANL in the past, we need you to partner with us and go through this step again so that we can start fresh and move forward. So more information to come on that today, actually.
Okay, thank you, Rachel, so much for that. I'm looking. Here's another question. I am and VSOB specializing in courier logistics, specifically expedited services. Is there a need for this type of contracting services within capital projects?
Courier logistics. Honestly, I'm not quite sure what that is. Courier logistics, are we talking like a FedEx service or are we talking freight logistics?
Freight movement.
That, again, is a little outside of the capital projects or my purview. I know we would have freight contracts. I would suggest that you probably contact Chris Fresquez and see what opportunities there are within capital projects. He'll know where that would fall.
Okay. Thank you, Susan, so much for that. Any of the questions that are not being answered today, just please keep in mind that you can go to their website and the questions and answers will be posted there, because due to time and a long program, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next presenter. So our next presenter is Erwin Vargas and Greg Borna, and they're capital project managers. So they're going to be a presentation on forecasted procurement opportunities. Thank you, Erwin and Greg.
Hi, good morning. Thanks, Juliana. Thanks, Susan. Just super excited to be here to talk to everyone with regards to the upcoming projects that we have, because I think we've got a lot of, if you will, juicy projects that we have on the docket coming up in the next few years that I think there should be a lot of interest in. And I think that will, give some firms chances to exercise some of their both design and construction muscles, if you will, and to further, assist us in improving the infrastructure at Los Alamos National Laboratory. So next slide, please, and I'll get into the first project. Okay, the first job that I have to brief the team here is the Diamond Drive expansion project. This is a huge project for us at Los Alamos because Diamond Drive, if you're not familiar with the facility, is one of the main, if not the main, thoroughfare for all of the traffic going in and out of the main gate to Los Alamos, and that kind of funnels traffic throughout the different technical areas for the facility. I'll just quickly run through the scope of work. I don't want to get into too much detail that you already see in front of you, but essentially we've got the drive right now that is one lane, both going east and west, and we would like to expand it to have 2 lanes, 2 lanes on the east and 2 lanes on the west side, and then in addition to have some pedestrian and bicycle routes specifically for that avenue of transportation for the Diamond Drive that, again, will alleviate severe backups that we have during the prime rush hours for the facility. So this sort of photo representation is kind of what we're anticipating it to look like when it's all said and done. Just to get into the specifics of the execution, we're looking at doing this as a design, build, execution strategy to give a bit more flexibility to the subcontractors and how they want to execute and schedule their resources to be able to hit the job running, if you will. We envision that the subcontract value will be greater than $10 million, just with the amount of work that is to be required. That's what we've sort of forecasted at this point in time. And just for our scheduling, just for the group to know, we are in the initial sort of RFP phase right now. The internal LANL team is working on putting together all of the procurement documents to get it out to bid, likely in that April-May timeframe of this year of 2021, and then we're forecasting a notice of award in the third quarter of 2021 and a project kickoff again in the third quarter of 2021 as well. So we've started some preliminary work. The geotechnical evaluation is in progress right now, and in addition, some utility locates and information tracking, if you will, is in progress right now that we're going to provide to the subcontractors to be able to give them a pretty good idea of what they've got in store for the expansion of this roadway. Moving on to the next slide, please. All right, so this just talks about a few of the intersections that we've got to upgrade in addition to the expansion of the roadway. So just to read off a few of these items, we got like 3 major intersections that we put new traffic signals at, a big driveway intersection there at Coronado. We'd be looking at doing a bunch of sidewalk upgrades to improve everything so they're all ADA compliant. Obviously going to be doing striping and markings and the associated infrastructure with the different intersections that we'll be looking at upgrading. And in addition, there are some decent grade changes overall for the Diamond Drive area, so we'll be putting in some retaining walls based on what we're seeing right now at this point in time. And finally, we do want to incorporate some low impact development or LID green type infrastructure features where we can capture a lot of the water that we get, since we don't get a lot of water during the summertime, and be able to harness that and not have any sort of drainage issues and use that water that we get in the summertime. Moving on to the next slide, please. All right, and just some more details here on Diamond Drive. We've got a bunch of utility relocations, as you can see here, and I won't go through all the details, but essentially, I believe a high-level number is about 50 some odd utility relocations that we're looking at. And just to give the team some ideas on the total amount of quantities, we've got about 1,600 tons of hot mix asphalt type 3, and then 3,000 tons of type 4 asphalt, about a demolition of 27,000 square yards of base course, and then actual place and compaction of about 19,000 square yards of subgrade prep, and then base course about 6,000 tons as well. And as mentioned there at the bottom on the slide, about 10,000 linear feet of curb and gutter and 5,000 square yards of sidewalks, again, to be ADA compliant. Next slide, please. All right, that covers everything, I guess all the high-level items for Diamond Drive. Again, looking at putting that out in the street over the course of the next 2 to 3 months. Moving on to the light manufacturing laboratory, another exciting project that we'll be looking at sending out for bid here in about a month or so. But what we're looking at doing is building a new approximate 10,000 square foot lab that's going to include both high and low bay spaces. And ultimately, what it's going to have inside is one section being a lab space, another section being office space, and that lab space is going to be utilized for isotope generation that our isotope program is going to be is in charge of. I would love to tell you specific details about this program, but it's way over my head. The physicists have just given us the high-level details, and we've come up with a conceptual plan for this. And again, the execution strategy will be a design build. It'll be HEPA filtration required in the lab space because of the radiological components that they use in that lab space. And on the outside, we'd be doing site improvements of a retaining wall, we think, with some asphalt tie-ins to existing roadways and a perimeter sidewalk as well. We've completed a geotech investigation for this, and we have it completely packaged up and will be included in the bid. And again, we'll be looking at getting this out for bid in approximately 1 month for the design, build, execution strategy. We've estimated the high-level schedule to be approximately greater than $10 million for the total value of the project, and anticipate a period of performance of 20 months or greater based on the overall scope that we see for the project. And again, forecasting that award date in the third quarter of 2021. Again, this is directly supporting our Lance area, and it'll be sort of like butted up against our accelerator facility. So another really exciting project and a piece of infrastructure that's going to greatly support the work that they're doing out there out at the accelerator facility. Next slide, please. Okay, last project that I had to talk to you about is our DART hydro vessel repair facility, and that's going to be at Technical Area 15. This is another one of our facilities that is going to be supporting a different type of a program. This one specifically is going to be cleaning out vessels that they use to, I guess, test different types of high explosives in. The facility will have a large high bay structure with a crane that will be provided by LANL. So the facility will need the crane supports to be included in the design and the construction. But the bottom line is there'll be very large vessels that will be taken in. They will be cleaned out in this high bay, more industrial type facility that will again have HEPA filtration because of all the stuff that would be cleaned out of the vessels. And then in addition to that industrial high bay area, we'll have a sort of lower bay office space area that would have showers, break rooms, and the like. Again, this is This is something that does have the geotech done with completed already, and we envision this to be a design bid build execution strategy, and we're forecasting this to be sent out for bid likely within the next 6 months. And again, as I mentioned, this will be a design bid build, so the first phase will be for the design phase only. And just the high-level schedule and cost for this, we anticipate the dollar value for the design to be less than $2 million, and the period of performance for the design to be about 10+ months. And the forecasted award date, again, as noted here, it's TBD. We expect to get funding within the next 6 months, and as soon as we do, our team has put together all the procurement documents, and as soon as that funding is approved, we will then refresh the documents and send them out for bid. That concludes the projects that I had scheduled to present to the group. Maybe I'll just open it up for any questions that I can respond to based on anyone's thoughts.
Thank you, Erwin. We have a few questions. So the first question for you, for this project, any staff augmentation available?
Sorry, which project is that? Sorry.
I think that's just what I'm reading off the chat. For this project, any staff augmentation available?
I can answer that. And so, no, this
I'm done.
staff aug would go through a different channel.
Sounds good.
Okay. One of the other questions also, will MCC awards within each category be posted on the Lano business website?
Maybe that's something that Sue, you can answer. I'm not sure about that one.
This is Brad, and the answer is yes. And I'll talk about it when I get up. And I think I'm coming up pretty soon.
Right, you're coming up next. So we have a few more time for a few more questions. Will any of this work be side for HubZone, WOSB, Small Business AA?
So these projects will be issued out under the MCCs in general. And if you look at the slide that's up now, the standard format for posting the opportunities on Chris or the opportunities website will be to specify the estimated dollar value, and that's sort of in a range. So we've got a range of less than 2 million, less than 5, less than 10, and greater than 10. So those are sort of the gradations. So don't take these dollar values as too exact. It's just a categorization. We'll identify the period of performance, when approximately the RFP will go out, and the forecast award date, a contact information, and then up in that execution strategy section, you'll see is it a design, is it design build, or a design bid build. Whether it's under an MCC, we'll say it may be issued under the MCC for GC is the general construction. So depending on when this is issued and when the MCC is awarded, may or may not, actually, I apologize. This one, that's an error there. Because it's a design only, it'll go out under our A&E firms. But we will note there in the opportunities whether it will be an MCC or whether it will be issued outside of the MCC, whether it's a set aside, and what the NAICS code will be, so that those will be filled in as we get more information. And so, again, we want to make sure that the subcontractors that have not been awarded an MCC are following these and are looking to the subcontractors that have been awarded an MCC to introduce themselves and start looking to them for sub-tier opportunities. The Diamond Drive is a perfect illustration of all the opportunities that that would be available to a sub-tier. That one will definitely go out under the general construction NCC, but there's opportunities for A&E firms to coordinate, and that we're looking, or that one would require an A&E firm that's got a lot of traffic and roadwork capabilities. Lots of small business opportunities for the for participating in all of the other aspects that are going to be required there. So make sure that you're watching for who the MCCs are and getting to know them, introducing yourselves to them, because that's where a lot of the work will be funneling through.
Thank you, Susan. Go ahead and get one more question. I know there's several others. How will construction inspection be procured for Diamond Drive and TA53 light manufacturing facilities?
So that'll be design build. So what we envision is that the prime subcontractor will subcontract out the inspections, the majority of the inspections for those projects. Lionel may augment some of that, but we would be looking at them to maintain the primary inspections on those jobs.
Okay, thank you, Erwin, and thank you, Susan. There are several questions popping up, but for time's sake, if we have extra time at the end, we'll come back to them. But if not, just please, again, for all the participants, any questions that are not answered, they will be posted on Lionel's website, so be looking for that as well. So I want to thank you, Erwin. Thank you, Susan. Okay, so Erwin, thank you. And so we will be moving on to Greg then. Thank you, Greg.
All right, thank you. Greg Barna, Area Manager for Science Security. There's a couple projects I'll talk about. The first one is 4801 HVAC upgrade. This is replacing antiquated equipment. We are currently in the process of defining the exact scope. It will include demo of the cooling tower, replacement of fans and pumps, dampers, louvers, and also integration and control systems with our bath system. We do anticipate this to be less than $5 million, about a 12-month process for a design build, with the intention to issue RFP the third quarter of this year, and the fourth quarter award the contract. And this will likely be awarded to mechanical MCC. Basic HVAC design and repair and replacement. I guess I'll just go to the next one, not as eloquent as Mr. Irwin. All right, TA48 warehouse and roadway. This project just got kicked off. It's to construct two 4,000 square foot pre-engineered steel buildings. It will be used for storage and staging of materials. In addition to this, there'll be roadway to this facility and also some utilities. We are defining the requirements as we speak, pinpointing our exact needs. There will be some communication, some security for a badge reader, and the electrical service. We do anticipate this RFP being awarded the third quarter of this year, and our forecast for award will follow on the fourth quarter of 21. We do anticipate this being less than $5 million, and we'd really want to utilize existing designs and existing or previous installation of warehouses to minimize our costs and keep on schedule. Any questions there? All right, next. 3586 fuel fabrication. This will be a remodel of the existing about 4,000 feet of space. It will be it will involve civil, some civil work, some minor structure for equipment, a lot of architectural for doors, penetrations for fire ratings. It will also include changes of our fire suppression system, new electrical services, and general retrofit of an area. This area will be used for programmatic activities with uranium. Everything will be a ML4, initially ML4 construction. It will be a design build. And anyway, we will tend to issue this to general contractor, anticipating about a 20-month start to finish, with the RFP being issued the fourth quarter of 21. This is pending congressional approval. Questions here? Questions in general?
Thank you, Greg. I just see one question. Do the MCC primes have a requirement to recruit small business subcontractors?
So our MCC contractors range from small to large businesses, and small businesses do not have a subcontracting requirement to go to smalls, to sell to smalls. Large businesses, on the other hand, depending on the size of the requirement, might be required to have a subcontracting plan. So it will depend on what it is and who actually gets the award. Generally, anytime we award to a large business for larger projects, there is a requirement for them to propose a plan, and then we evaluate the large businesses based on whether or not they accomplish their plan. So to get future work, they have to achieve all the goals that they set out. I mean, it makes their evaluation more favorable to them if they achieve all their goals.
Okay, thank you, Brad. And we're going to move on. So Brad, I've already given you an introduction, so you are on next. Again, Brad Westergren, and you will be giving on ASM Capital Projects Planning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Juliana. If you can go to the next slide, please. I want to talk a little bit about how to do business with us, and then tell you a little bit about where we are. One of the things that we are doing in ASM is looking at the long game, and we don't want to just bring someone on and have them leave. There's a tremendous learning curve for working with any new client, any new relationship. So once we've achieved a relationship with you, we'd like to keep you on at least until I retire to make my life easier. So if you come here, we want you to commit to the long term. We want to make it easy for you. I know during the fireside chat, Kathy shared the same thing. So did Andy. You know, everyone on the call wants to make this a better, faster, cheaper, safer relationship for all of us. So to keep that in mind, I know there have been questions and people have said it, and I'm saying it again. In order to have any future business with us, you're going to have to register. You won't get the solicitation if you don't. You can't get the award if you don't get the solicitation. So AREBA is the thing. You know, keep that in mind. Now, here's where I'm really going to stamp my feet and say, pay attention, please. For those of you that do not know about the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, or a PTAC, you should look it up. If you go to aptac-us.org or just Google Procurement Technical Assistance Center, you can get resources there that they have classes on how to read a solicitation, how to write a proposal. Understand that when we send out a solicitation to you, it's more than just what the work is. The statement of work is a portion of it, but there's also evaluation criteria. How will we evaluate your proposal? If you don't write so that we can give you a good score on each evaluation criteria, you're not going to get the contract. So it's more than just saying, I can do it. You have to to deliver your proposal in a way that we can easily evaluate. That course on proposal writing offered by the PTAC, great place to start. Those of you that really want to get into writing proposals, there are other firms. Google will give you all sorts of solutions. Shipley Associates is one of them. There are a number that teach how to write proposals in responses to solicitations. So if we can't understand your your proposal, we're just not going to be able to award to you. Make it easy for us. I would also say, as you summarize your proposal, write a rationale for us to award to you. We have to write a rationale when we make the award. We chose Acme Company because they did this, and the other thing. Well, you can do that for us. You can write, to us. LANL should choose us because we have done this, that, and the other, meeting all your evaluation criteria, and we are the best value for the laboratory. Make it easy for us to pick you as the winner. Think of that Geico commercial where Charles Barkley is standing up there. Your proposal should be the Charles Barkley from our evaluation. And honestly, we want a lot of Charles Barkleys. So step up, and if you need assistance, there are people out there. Feel free to reach out to me. Again, my note at the bottom, you can tell from what Greg and Erwin and Susan just shared, there's a lot of work. We got to have a lot of new subcontracts in place, and we don't want to hire problems. We want to hire solutions. So, we want to work with you, and we want to get the good people to stay around for a long time. Next slide, please. All right. Oh, yes, one other thing. We've been having some issues lately about multiple sources of direction from LANL, which then make more problems. Once you have a subcontract from us, you get direction from only one place. Drew Fuller was on the fireside chat. He owns the contracts. Only someone that Drew says, a procurement specialist, can give a subcontractor direction. No one else gets to change the terms and conditions of the subcontract. There might be someone who you think has authority because they work with you every day. That's only apparent authority. If they're not a procurement specialist, if they don't have authority to sign the subcontracts, they have no authority to tell you what to do. So I'm telling you, if you have questions, but my PM or STR, they called me up and they said, do this. Well, then you need to call your procurement specialist. They're the ones who signed the subcontract, and find out what you should do. I will tell you that if you do something that you're not authorized to do, we don't have to pay you to do it. So if you want to be paid, only take direction from the procurement specialist. No one is trying to get you in trouble, but we're also trying to keep you out of trouble, and we want to make certain it's a great relationship. If there's a problem, call me. Call Drew. We will make a solution for you. So next one, please. Next slide. All right. We are posting these to the website. If they're not up there already, they will be. These are the current awardees for our managed category for construction, design, build awardees. We have these 9 people. As a buyer, as a contracting organization, we cannot direct them to, we can't hook up a lower tier subcontractor to these. We're not going to give preference or endorse any one subcontractor, but we're making these points of contact available to you so you can reach out to them and you can sell yourself to these subcontractors. We want to have success for everyone here. So if they're not already posted to the MCC website, they will be shortly. And next slide, please. I wanted to give you the schedule. We have submitted the general construction discipline for review by NNSA, DOE, our client. We have gone through, done everything we're supposed to, but because of the dollar threshold, all of these awards have to be reviewed by Department of Energy, and we have to have their consent to make the award. So Department of Energy is looking at the awardees for general construction, and later this week, I believe, or early next week, we're going to be sending the proposed subcontracts to DOE for asphalt paving. So DOE will be looking at our proposed awards and then giving their consent or having us change things before they give their consent. Once the consent is made, we're expecting to hear from them in February. Then we will let the awardees know that they've been selected. We'll also let those who have proposed and did not get the award, the outcome, and then we will move forward with the awards. We are looking to get the awards for fire suppression and mechanical systems to NNSA and DOE next month in February, which means they should probably turn those awards around to us in March, and then we can make notice. With that, keep that in mind, and then go to the next slide, please. So once we have the awards, then we can start making requests for proposals. So I believe we are sending out RFPs, requests for proposals, on a demolition and decontamination project. I think that goes out this month or soon. And then we'll probably have the right amount of turnaround. I don't know, it probably won't be 30 days. It depends on complexity. But we want to turn those around right away and start making awards. Because we've already awarded modular and electrical, I'm expecting to get task order proposal requests out the door for anything we have ready to go in February. That would be the soonest. And then, as you can see, if we are able to make awards in March for GCs and paving, the soonest we can issue, task order would probably be in March. So that's to keep in mind. When's the work going to hit? We want to use the MCC for everything. Bottom line, we've awarded these master contracts. We want to go there first, but there will be subcontracting opportunities underneath there. And I believe that's all that I have. If you go to the next slide, I think if we have time for questions, I'll take them.
Okay, thank you. We do have a few questions, but I'm actually going to save a few because I think they're for some of the following presentations that are coming through. And so if anyone does have questions for Brad, again, put them in the chat and they will get them answered. So we're going to move on to our next presenter. Thank you, Brad. Okay, Rachel Schroeder. She's a Land Transformation Manager of Acquisition Services Management Division, and she will be giving a presentation on Procurement Transformation Update. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Juliana. We can go ahead and move to the next slide. So you heard a little bit today more about the transformation that we're going through with respect to our procurement processes and systems. And we talked about, tried to provide you guys updates around that transformation over the past few forums. So today, what we'd like to focus on is letting you know kind of some timelines that have been defined. And again, Drew mentioned these in the fireside chat. But we've talked about the 3 new systems that we're rolling out. We've rolled out CertFocus, we've rolled out Fieldglass, and now we're ready to roll out our new Ariba system. And so this will impact all suppliers. So we will be rolling out Ariba in a phased approach, as you see in the timeline shown on the slide. And, we've been talking a lot today about registration. So, our call to action today is that we need all of our suppliers to be ready for our go live date. And so the immediate action today is that we do need all of our suppliers to go in now's the time. We've gotten questions for many months, when are we going to be ready to do this? And I'm happy to tell you that now's the time that we can start the process of getting you, all of our suppliers, registered in our Ariba system. And I know a question came up earlier, if we've already registered with you in the past, if we're already doing business with you, do we need to do this again? And the answer is yes. And again, we appreciate your partnership with this. As we work together to move to this digital platform, again, I think it's going to make all of our lives easier going forward. So the short answer is yes. So let's talk a little bit more about timing. So on February 16th, we are planning to go live with a kind of a launch of our Ariba system. Now, with that said, I want to assure you that that doesn't mean that we're going to go full-blown into the system day one. This is going to be a gradual transition into the system. With us saying you have to be registered to do business, while that is true, that doesn't mean that, everything's going to stop on February 16th. We want to work with you. We're here to support you and make sure that, you guys have the information you need to do what you need to do and know when you need to do it. So we'll talk a little bit more about specifics. But February 16th is when we're going to go live with our supplier lifecycle performance, sourcing, and contract modules. And then, there'll be a 3-month period. Think of it almost like a transition period where we'll be doing a lot of different activities. So we'll continue with the registrations. We'll have training materials available. They're already available. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but there'll be more training sessions that we'll be offering and will be available. And then we'll be migrating contracts from our current system, which is Oracle, to Ariba. So there's going to be a lot happening in this 3-month period. And then on May 17th is when we'll go kind of full-blown live with the Ariba system. So think of it as a gradual start, but know that there are actions for you, our suppliers, at this time. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Next slide. So this slide is what it shows you is, again, what we've talked about in the past is, we're implementing Ariba, and Ariba, as part of Ariba, there's the Ariba network, and then we're implementing 5 modules. And so, again, these slides are going to be available for reference. We want you to be able to reference what each module does, so you can see here. I won't go back into that description. But what I want to highlight for you is the column in the middle that says changes on February 16th. So we want you to know what is going to change for you. So on February 16th, well, actually starting today, right, we want you, our suppliers, to start completing the registration questionnaire. That is the first step. And so in order to do that, you need to have an Ariba network account. So think of it, there's 2 different things. You need to go in and create an account on for your company on the Ariba network. And then you'll need to go into the LAML system once you receive the registration invite and complete the supplier registration questionnaire. So next up after me is a video that will provide you much more information about the questionnaire, and Ashley will talk a little bit more about that. But that is the immediate next step in call to action. So think of it, this is, you complete supplier registrations, I'm sure, for, all the companies you work with or many of the companies you work with, whether it's a paper form or online. So the person we need filling out this registration is whoever you have at your company that normally fills these out. And so like we mentioned today, we posted the URL in the chat where you can go in and you can request the registration questionnaire be sent to you. But again, we need the right contact information for who needs to complete the questionnaire, because we want to only send it to one person at the supplier. And then alternatively, there'll be a survey at the end of this forum or whenever you exit the forum where you can complete your company information. So again, we really ask that you do that today and not wait on that. So, you'll have the ability after you complete that registration questionnaire to maintain your company information in our supplier lifecycle and performance module. You'll no longer have to send in changes. And suppliers will be responsible for updating that information real time. So the next module going live on February 16th is sourcing. So what does this mean? So this means we're going to transition to having any RFIs and RFPs that LANL will be issued through REBA. And so to submit a response to that, that will need to be done in REBA going forward. So again, in order to respond to these, what we're calling sourcing events or RFIs or RFPs, you need to have an REBA account created for that. And then, if you are awarded business, talk about contracts. So contracts will now be maintained digitally in REBA. And as part of REBA, we have what's called DocuSign, where we can sign the contract electronically. And so that's the bigger changes that are happening on February 16th. I didn't capture every probably minor change, but those are really the big hitters that we want you guys to be aware of today. And then, on May 17th, that's when we'll go live with the rest of the system. And you'll see here, that's where our invoicing will come into play, and the purchase and order confirmation process all electronic on the back end. So, but we'll talk more about that in the coming months, and information will be available on our website. So next slide. So we've talked a little bit about our onboarding process. And again, we may sound like a broken record at this point, but so essentially, just to summarize, our call to action today is for you guys to have an REBA Network account and to complete the supplier registration questionnaire. So I know that some of you have probably already received communications from LANL about this initiative and about actions that you need to take, and some of you haven't. So if you haven't, it's okay. That communication is coming, not to worry. But you don't have to wait for that communication at this point. We're going to be doing these processes concurrently. And so any communications you will receive, just know that they will say, the immediate next step is to register. And so essentially everyone's moving in lockstep at this point to complete these steps. So this applies to new or existing suppliers at this point. So if you're not currently a supplier with LANL, but you want to be, and you want to respond to an opportunity, you can go ahead and go through this process as well. So next slide, we'll talk a little bit about, so our team is available to support you with training sessions. Like I said, we'll have the registration video that will be shown after this to walk you through step by step what the process is. That video, along with a plethora of other resources and links and tutorial videos, are available on will be available or are available on our website, shown on the left-hand side of the slide here, under the procurement transformation section. There are 3 or 4 web pages full of content for you to walk you through step by step. And if you still can't get your questions answered, what I'll tell you is you can contact our LANL supplier management team. They're the email address at the bottom, arebasuppliers@lanl.gov. Or when I want to point you to one of the main sites that has much useful information is our Areba Supplier Information Portal. And so we put the specific web address here, but that link is also specifically referenced on our web pages. So what that provides you is, the project notification letters that have been sent, all of our FAQs. It provides the links on the useful links, for example, directly to SAP Areba to answer some more technical questions about the system. So what you'll see when you go to our web pages is that we've tried to not make you hunt and check for what you need to know. We've tried to present and put the web links to, resource and tutorial videos for you to access easily and learn what you need to learn. So again, visit our webpage, lanl.gov/business or business.lanl.gov. I think you can get there both ways. And visit our procurement transformation web pages if you have further questions. So again, in summary, we understand that this is a major process change, system change, and it will be a learning curve for many of you. Again, we ask for your support We ask for your partnership as we move through this change together. I think for us all to successfully adopt the system is going to enable the change to happen quicker, and it'll help us to recognize the benefits more timely. And again, I think Drew had mentioned those earlier. I think we're going to see increased efficiencies, we're going to see standardization, more visibility, just to name a few. But again, we'll recognize those benefits right away, and I think we'll all be happy with the end product once we get there. So with that, that concludes my remarks. Do we have any questions?
Thank you, Rachel. Yes, we do have a lot of questions coming in. You may have answered them already, but I'm just going to clarify a few. Do they wait until February 16th to register in Ariba?
So that's a good question. So the answer is we can start, suppliers can start registering on Ariba now. Once you receive the registration invitation. So again, what we need from suppliers today is we need you to go to the link that was posted in the chat, and we should post it again, to request your registration. Again, what you'll input in there is your company name and the contact information for the person that needs to complete the registration questionnaire. So one, go to the web link, complete that information, submit it, or two, complete the survey at the end, again, putting in the same information. But we need that information to send the registration invitations. And so those will probably start being sent out, I think the first of next week. Ashley can correct me if I'm wrong, and she'll be talking next.
Okay. Rachel, we have another question. Do subcontractors to Triad need to register in Ariba?
Yes, we need all of our subcontractors or suppliers, I've been using that term synonymously, to register in Ariba. Even whether you do business, so even our existing suppliers that do business with us today, yes, we need you to go register. Again, we want to make sure we have all the current information for all of our subcontractors as we build our new supplier database in Ariba.
Okay.
I see another question. How long does it take to receive this invitation? So once we have the information, the right contact information, it's a matter of our team sending out the email invitation. So that can be done very quickly. I think again, we just need the right email address or in contact information. And then to complete the questionnaire, the questionnaire is a couple dozen questions. It depends on how easily accessible the information is or the person completing it, how knowledgeable they are, but, it could take up to an hour to complete the questionnaire. But again, this will be an investment that will pay off. Having all this information up front will eliminate a lot of work later.
Okay. Do you know if Ariba will be adopted to other DOE labs?
So Juliana, I guess I cannot speak to that specifically. I know that, Lanwell is adopting it, and I think it's being discussed at other labs, but I can't give any more information with certainty beyond that.
Okay, Rachel. I'm also just going to ask before we move on, there's a question in the chat from Ann Maitland, and she has reached out to register on Ariba. So if someone can get back to her, I'm just going to point that out, that she's putting that out there, so if someone can reach out to her. And there are a few more questions do come in. Again, they will be answered on the website. So I just want to thank you, Rachel, and we will move on to our next presenter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we will have, there's a lot of questions here on Ariba registration overview, and I think they might be answered in this video. And the presenter is Ashley Dominguez from Supplier Management, and the video will be showing the registration overview. Thank you.
So yeah, hello everyone. Again, my name is Ashley Dominguez. I work in the Supplier Management team at Lanwell. And yeah, so we will be going over a lot of stuff that Rachel mentioned. So one thing that she did mention is that we are ready to get suppliers registered in the system. So today we are going to show an overview video of LANO's new registration process in Ariba. After the forum, we will send out a copy of the registration questions on an Excel spreadsheet. So please don't mistake the spreadsheet as the registration itself. The spreadsheet will only be used as a resource for suppliers to see what to expect for LANO's new registration. So again, suppliers will need to register in Ariba in order to do business with LANO, and a link with more information will be sent out within the next few days. And then also, as Drew and Rachel mentioned, a link to request the registration questionnaire will be available in the chat. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the registration overview video.
Hello, thank you for joining today's presentation. My name is Ashley Dominguez, and I work in the supplier management team at LANO. Today we will be going over LANO's new registration process in the Ariba network. LANO is moving to Ariba, a cloud-based solution that offers one portal to collaborate effectively with suppliers when we buy, invoice, select, and negotiate agreements. This allows for a simple, compliant, and efficient system. A term that might be new to our suppliers is SLP. SLP stands for Supplier Lifecycle and Performance. This module is where suppliers will complete their supplier registration questionnaire. The supplier registration questionnaire is a necessary step to be ready to do business with LANO. Before we review registration, let's go over some of the benefits that this new registration process provides for our suppliers. For many of our suppliers, these systems may be new and will change the way you do business with us. LANO is confident in the benefits this change will provide, such as getting paid faster, using electronic purchase orders and invoices, tracking the status of your invoices, having more control over order processing, tracking documents with a searchable archive, saving time and money by eliminating paper and manual processing, and communicating more efficiently. Okay, now getting started with registration. The supplier management desk at LANO will first send the supplier an invitation to register. Please note, it is the responsibility of the supplier to update their information regularly. Contact information, address, and DUNS number are especially important to ensure a supplier gets paid. The supplier will receive an email from Ariba that includes the link to register. When you receive this email, please click into the blue highlighted link. Before completing LANO's registration on the Ariba network, the supplier will first need to sign up for an Ariba account or log in with an existing account. After the supplier will sign up on the Ariba network or log in using an existing account, then the supplier will be able to complete the LANO registration. If your company has multiple addresses and one of them is a New Mexico or Northern New Mexico address, we do prefer that you use that address when registering your company. One thing that I want to point out is that there is a time limit to complete this registration, which is visible on the top right corner. If more time is needed, you can request it. The first question on this registration asks for your legal registered business name. This is the first and only question that is required to be entered in all caps. One thing to note that everything that has a red asterisk by it is a required field. This registration does require that you enter a DUNS number. If you do not have a DUNS number, we provided the link for you to create one. If you are having trouble getting a DUNS, you can contact your local PTAC and they can assist you. When answering certain questions on this registration, depending on what you select, answers to questions may prompt additional fields. The first attachment that this registration asks for is an insurance certificate identifying the types and levels of business insurance maintained by your company. This is a required field and will not let you submit your registration if you do not upload a document. If you do not have your insurance document, please upload a Word document explaining the reason. The second attachment that this registration asks for is to attach a capability statement. This field is not mandatory, but we highly recommend that if you have a capability statement, please upload it. Having a capability statement in your profile allows for you to better market your company at LANL. You will be asked to provide your primary NAICS codes. For each NAICS code that you enter, you will be asked to identify whether your company is considered a large or small business for that NAICS code. If marked small, you will have the option to enter additional socioeconomic categories for your company. Please remember to select all that apply. At the end of the registration questionnaire, you will see a few options. The first option is to submit your response to the questionnaire. Please note that if you have any errors, they will be highlighted in red, and they will require that you correct them before you can submit the registration. If you are unable to complete the registration at once, you do have the option to save a draft and return at a later time. You also have the option to compose a message, and any questions or comments that you may have will be sent to the supplier management desk at LANL. Also, you have the option to download an Excel document of this registration using the Excel import button. If you have no errors, or after you correct any errors as mentioned in the previous slide, you then will be able to submit your response. You then will get a confirmation as shown on the screen. After you submit your registration, the supplier management desk will be notified. They then have the option to either approve, deny, or request additional information. And we're basically looking for completeness of the registration. Please note, for all potential suppliers, LANL will be doing an OFAC check. And that is our new registration process at LANL. Here is the link to our website where you can learn more about our procurement transformation initiative and where you can find a recording of this video. Another great link that has many Ariba training, resources, and guides is our supplier information portal. That link is located on the top right of this page. If you have any questions on this registration process, please reach out to the supplier management desk at aribasuppliers@lanl.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you, Juliana. One more thing I wanted to mention is that we do also ask after the forum, please complete the survey. So now Trish Alley will give you the details of the survey and why it is important to complete for registration purposes.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So like Ashley said, my name is Trish Alley, and I work here in the Supplier Management Group at LANL. After you leave today's event, you'll be directed to a post-event survey. The event will pop up the survey will pop up automatically for you when you exit the event, even if you need to leave this event early. The survey will be slightly different than the surveys that we've gathered in past events. This is only going to consist of 7 questions. We're simply looking to collect point of contact information for your company. This will be specifically for the individual that will be registering with LANL in Ariba. This point of contact information is limited to only one individual at your company that will be responsible for handling the Ariba registration. If you have any questions, please let us know. But with that, I'll turn it back over to Juliana.
Okay, thank you, Trish, and thank you, Ashley. Again, the video will be posted as well on the website, and I know there's a few questions coming in, and they will be answered for you. But for time's sake, we're going to be moving on to our next presenter as well. So thank you, Ashley and Trish. Our next presenter is Amanda Garcia and John Rogers. They're project managers at Los Alamos, and they will be doing a presentation on New Mexico's Small Business Assistance Program.
Hello, good morning. Thank you, Juliana. Okay, so Amanda and I are both project managers for the New Mexico Small Business Assistance Program. If we can go to the next slide, I'll give you an overview of what the NMSBA program is and why you should care about it. So our program is a joint partnership between Sandia National Laboratory, Los Alamos National Laboratory, and the state of New Mexico. And what we do through the program is we provide unique technical assistance to small businesses within the state who are not able to get that same assistance through the private industry at a reasonable cost. Through this program, we partner with universities in the state and a couple other partners that allow us to provide unique services to those small businesses. The whole goal is to allow businesses to have access to laboratory expertise to help them solve whatever problem is they're facing. And you may ask yourself, well, why is this relevant to a subcontractor forum? The best way I can explain it is probably through an example. Our office is currently working on a technology maturation initiative, and our staff realized that a while back we worked on an NMSBA project with another company. We provided the assistance they were looking for, and we parted ways. Now, if we fast forward to today, we're now looking to license that technology from the company for internal usage on this TechMat effort. So the NMSBA program, it really is a symbiotic program in which technical staff at the laboratory work hand in hand with small businesses in the state of New Mexico. If we can go to the next slide, I'll give you some examples of the type of stuff we can do. And I should preface this by saying everything that we offer is at no cost to the small business. So whether you are a business looking for help either testing or doing something with the design of a product you're making, you need access to special equipment or need any sort of technical assistance that is not readily available in the private industry, those are things that we can help with. This image kind of shows how I think of ourselves. Think of us in the NMSBA program as the fellow in the blue shorts being stepped on as we help the small business in the red jersey overcome the problem that they're looking to solve. And there are some limitations, though. If we go to the next slide, the assistance we offer is only available to businesses in the state of New Mexico. You have to pay your gross receipts tax in the state, and in order to be eligible, you must be what we qualify as a small business. We use the United States Small Business Administration guidelines for that. Generally speaking, think of it as 500 employees or less. You'll probably qualify as a small business. Those guidelines, as Nicola mentioned in her initial presentation, they're available online. They do vary by category, so depending on what type of business you are, the numbers that are required to qualify as a small business will vary. What we cannot do through this program is we do not provide cash, equipment, or goods to the small business. We cannot compete with the private industry. So if somebody comes to us looking for website development or something like that, that technical assistance can be hired out at a reasonable cost in the state. So we can't help you there. Everything is done within the calendar year. So we start and finish projects. We try to think of ourselves as relatively timely. Most projects can finish within 120 days of start. We don't do any endorsements, and we really try hard to avoid intellectual property creation. So we'll work with the companies to draft a statement of work that specifically avoids any type of intellectual property creation because we don't want that kind of mess. If we can go to the next slide. It looks like we skipped that one. Can we go to the next one? And with that, I'll hand it over to Amanda. She'll explain to you the different types of projects we offer through the NMSBA program.
Thank you, John. As John mentioned, we have 3 different types of projects that a small business can apply for. The first one is an individual technical assistance request. This is where a single business with a specific technical challenge reaches out to either laboratory, and we can provide up to $40,000 in technical assistance. The individual requests are submitted year-round, so a business can apply anytime between the calendar year of January to December. The next is leverage projects. This is when multiple businesses are facing a shared technical challenge. In this area, there is more assistance as far as the laboratory being able to provide greater length of time for technical assistance, which equals up to $120,000. This area is a little bit more competitive. We have 2 yearly competitive applications where businesses can submit and apply for a leverage project. The difference between the individual and the leverage projects last, when selected and able to proceed to a project, they will be a year-round project. It's not capped at the 120 days. The next one is a contract project. This is when individual businesses do come to either LANL or Sandia National Laboratory, and we contract with the University of New Mexico Manufacturing Extension Partnership, New Mexico Tech, or NMSU. And again, these application submissions are year-round. Next slide, please. So the different types of capabilities that we have at Los Alamos National Laboratory vary, and we do have a very unique set of capabilities which range from risk analysis, manufacturing, testing and evaluation, strength testing, artificial intelligence, and much more. So if there's a small business who is facing a challenge, we will share our contact information at the end of our slide. And you're more than welcome to either call or email both John and I, and we're happy to help answer any questions you may have in regards to a possible challenge your business may be facing. Next slide, please. So we're going to share some examples of success stories of businesses who have come through the New Mexico Small Business Assistance Program. The first one is an individual success story with St. Cloud Mining Company. St. Cloud Mining Company mines and customizes its zeolites to very specific applications that range from filtration to environmental remediation, aquaculture, removal of heavy metals, and capturing ammonia. The laboratory was able to provide assistance with a comparative analysis of performance of a wide range of the company's zeolites in handling the contaminants in wastewater. Next slide, please.
So and here's an example of what a leverage project could look like. Amanda mentioned earlier, leverage projects are projects where multiple companies have an interest in solving the same technical problem, and they can combine their funds in doing that to create a year-long project with up to $120,000 in funding of laboratory resources. This project in particular involved technology originally developed out of Sandia National Laboratories. It's a library of code designed to make it possible for new software, or old software rather, to run on new hardware. LAMP stands for Large Scale Automatic or Atomic Molecular Parallel Simulators. And what this was, 3 companies teamed up. One's a high-performance computing systems company, another company was a material software company, and the third was a custom design and manufacturing company. They were running their software to do these simulations 24/7, 7 days a week on the computers they had access to, and they still were not able to accomplish the goals that they were looking for. And through this, at the National Laboratory, we have access to high-performance computing and software that is simply not available in the private industry. So we were allowed through this project to assist them in accomplishing their goals, and they've since gone on to receive additional funding. And this for them was kind of a proof of concept. A lot of ways we see NMSBA projects as a springboard where companies then go on to see additional funding and success from there. If we could go to the next slide. The third type of project that Amanda mentioned earlier are contract projects. Through the contract projects, we work with a handful of contractors. I won't spend too much time on this slide, but I want you to know about the types of resources that are available. New Mexico Manufacturing Extension Partnership can provide expert advice and insight on anything related to manufacturing, whether that is courses and training, plant design layout, insight. If any of these are of interest, you're welcome to email Amanda or I. We have a list of potential projects that they can work on. University of New Mexico Management of Technology Office works on all things technology, whether it's road mapping or analytics or advice on how to scale a technology. New Mexico State University through the Arrowhead Center, we work with them oftentimes to develop prototypes or demonstrate how something could work. And New Mexico Tech applies to anything related to engineering management, whether that is functional development or risk analysis in that regard. And I'll hand it over on the next slide back to Amanda while she gives an example of what one of these projects were for a contract success story.
So our contract success story is with a business by the name of Rocksmith Precision Machining. Rocksmith Precision Machining came to to the NMSBA program to seek assistance because they're ready to diversify from a custom machine shop business to a mass produce that allowed them to integrate tools licensed from Los Alamos National Laboratory to disable explosive devices. We contracted with the New Mexico Manufacturing Extension Partnership, who was able to help Rocksmith Precision Machining set up a visual organization system, allowing Rocksmith to increase its manufacturing capacity and provide precise delivery estimates for the tools. Next slide, please. So on this slide here, you will see a quick look at our process from start to finish of a New Mexico Small Business Assistance request to project closure. We also provided our website on the top left-hand side of the slide. And on our slide, as it is on our website, there is an orange button that says submit a request for assistance. Just easily click on that and it'll take you to the form to fill out. And either John or myself as project managers through the New Mexico Small Business Assistance Program will reach out and conduct an intake interview. We will identify a PI that has expertise in the technical assistance that you're requesting and making sure it's a good fit and we're understanding the technical assistance that you submit. And then we'll all work together to develop a statement of work. And after a statement of work is created, we do have the business sign a terms and assistance agreement, which is standard for all businesses going through our program. And then the project work begins. And that's where the 120 days, actually the terms and assistance 120 days of the project work begins. And of course, closure. And at the end of the closure, we do ask that all our businesses complete a certificate of services rendered once they receive a final report, and also complete surveys as needed for us to be able to capture the necessary information. And if you go to the next slide, I can talk a little bit more of how the information is captured from the surveys. So metrics and outcomes, there are a variety of things that we capture from our businesses. I'm going to start on the right-hand side of the slide, and then I'll move to the left. Businesses in the state of New Mexico have reported that they were able to develop a new product or technology, or they were able to expand or improve a product or service, and they became more competitive in the marketplace. They also reported that they've improved overall operations and improved the expertise or capabilities of employees. Since the inception of the New Mexico Small Business Assistance Program in 2000, we have been able to provide $67.2 million in technical assistance. There's been a total of 3,051 businesses assisted and 8,778 jobs created and retained in the state of New Mexico. Businesses have reported a total of $396 million in new revenue, and businesses have also reported a decrease in operating costs of $202.6 million. $140 million has been invested in New Mexico goods and services. $176 million in funding and investments has been reported by the small businesses back to the New Mexico Small Business Assistance Program. And we've been able to provide support in 33 counties in the state of New Mexico. And on the bottom of the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see our 2020 total number. We are able to provide $2.0 million in technical assistance and support technical or businesses in technical assistance. There's 117 of them, and we provided support to 20 counties in the state of New Mexico. Next slide, please. And like I mentioned earlier, our contact information is on the slide. You're welcome to either call John or myself, or you can reach out to us via email, and we'll answer any questions that you may have, or if you are thinking of submitting a request for assistance, feel free to reach out, and we're happy to provide support there as well.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. And we don't see any questions in the chat. If anything comes up, again, they will be answered. And I'd like to introduce our last presenter. So hang tough, go ahead and stand up. And Chris Fruskis will give a presentation for Small Business Update and Procurement Opportunities. And Chris is the Supplier Management Manager at Acquisition Services Management Division. Thank you, Chris.
First of all, thanks a lot, Juliana. Appreciate your support in helping us out in this event. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to all the attendees that joined today. Looks like we had a good response to the event and have a lot of good information for today. I want to thank all the presenters for the time that they put into preparing today's presentations and for all the information that's been shared today. I know everybody's extremely busy, and taking the time to present with us today is greatly appreciated. Thanks to Yvonne Gonzalez, Ashley, Trish for all the time and effort they put into planning and coordinating this event. without these folks, these events could not be possible. So again, thanks to you, Juliana. Thanks to Nicola Ohebu and her staff, especially Anita Anderson, for working so closely with Yvonne to make today's event partnership with OSDBO a reality. Thanks a bunch. Keep my fingers crossed that this year's DOE business event, which Nicola mentioned earlier, is planned to be a live event here in New Mexico in August, will become a reality. Next slide. So every month we send out our invitation to a pretty broad net of suppliers out there. Tens of thousands of people are invited, so there's a good chance that we do get suppliers that are not familiar with the lab. So just a quick highlights of some of the things about the lab. It was established in 1943 as a part of the Manhattan Project. It was chosen for its remote location. As you can see, we're located on some high mountain plateaus. The elevation lab is about 7,000 feet. We employ about 12,000 employees, and it's scattered over about 36 square miles, which on the inset there you can see is about the size of the District of Columbia. Next slide. So today I'm going to provide some updates, our business goals and statistics, a little bit about our regional pricing preference, some highlights on supplier development, progressive opportunities, and then some upcoming outreach events. Next slide. So in this slide, you'll see our small business goals for FY21. These are some of the most aggressive, if not the most aggressive in the NNSA complex. They're aggressive in all 6 categories. Right now, we're exceeding our goal in our small business and our hub zone categories. And we're pretty close, within striking distance on most of the other goals. And we hope to continue building on this trend throughout the year. Just to highlight, in FY 2020, we spent about $1 billion, with approximately $650 million of that being awarded to small businesses. Next slide. So one of the unique characteristics of the Triad prime contract with NNSA and federal government is that we do have a regional pricing preference. It's a 10% pricing preference applicable to small businesses in a specific region of northern New Mexico. And in this slide, you will see the 7-county area that this preference applies to. One thing of note is that a large part of these 7 counties are in hub zone areas. And so we hope that this preference and this wide hub zone footprint will attract suppliers to locate in these areas and or partner with some of our existing suppliers to bring your capabilities to the area and reap the benefits of this preference. Next slide. So improving our supplier development efforts is one of our main initiatives here. And we've worked with a wide array of requests or people contacts with the laboratory, looking for some areas that we can put out some supplier development information on our external website. This slide and the next slide, you'll see many of those categories that we've kind of focused on right now. Those highlighted in red are the ones that we've already received information on, have been updated, and will be posted on our external website that we're working on right now. So just a quick update on that, just to let you know that I think as Brad mentioned earlier, we're trying to have some transparency and educate suppliers and provide information to you that will help you understand what it takes to be a subcontractor at LANL and what we're focusing on. Next slide. All right, I think we're having a little bit of a slide delay. Just want to say here that our forecasted opportunities is another area that we're looking at to better provide better information. We're looking to identify current and future opportunities. You've seen today a lot of opportunities being presented by various individuals in our technical and procurement organizations. And so just keep an eye on our website for opportunities and contact our office if you have capabilities in those areas that are provided. Next slide. Should be on, okay, one more slide if you can. There we go. Okay, one opportunity that's out there right now is our cellular service provider. This one's going to be an RFP issued in the second quarter of FY21. Hopefully the award will take place sometime around the third quarter of 2021. Patrick Padilla is the contract specialist. His information is listed on a slide. Next slide. With the lab having that huge 36-mile square mile footprint, we do have a pretty robust protective force service on site. That effort, the contract comes up for renewal approximately every 5 years. And the next RFP is anticipated to be issued on the third quarter of FY 2021, and with a forecasted award date of FY 2022 third quarter. Yannicka Rasmussen is the contract specialist, and her information is provided there. Next slide. A lot of mechanical fabrications at the lab, machine shop work. We've got a project called the Scorpius Project, which will be putting out some machine shop requirements, block projects, etc. As noted on this slide, Lawrence Garcia is typically one of our main buyers that does a lot of these types of requirements. If you have those capabilities, reach out to Lawrence. Next slide. This one is from specialty metal requirement. It's an IDIQ type of contract, cut, formed, rolled, sorted metals, specialty metals. Looking to this one to be a multi-award, multi-year procurement. And again, Lawrence Garcia is the procurement specialist on this one, looking for award sometime later in FY 21. Next slide. Electronic software distribution. This one is a one-stop shop option for LANL employees to access software applications that employees would need to have installed on their computer system via downloads. This is somewhere in a less than $50 million price range. Quarter two of FY 21 and fourth quarter award date of FY 21 is anticipated. This one's still in its early stages. Again, just watch our website for more information on this one. Next slide. Mobile testing unit. This opportunity is estimated to be somewhere less than $500,000 price range. Expected to be awarded in FY 2022. This one, Evelyn Lopez Chavez is the procurement specialist. So again, contact Evelyn if you have any capabilities in this area of building these types of mobile testing units. Next slide. So the laboratory utilizes quite a bit of analytical laboratory services. This one's kind of a long lead time, and this one's it's currently awarded, but it's expiring in FY 2025. Last time around, we had a real challenge in trying to identify small businesses that were able to meet this requirement. It does have some characteristics and requirements that are a little bit stringent there. So I thought I'd start listing this one since now, just so that folks can be familiar with the requirements and possibly be able to look into getting these certifications and be able to position themselves to bid on it when it comes to renewal in 2025. Andre Clark is the procurement specialist on this one. Reach out to Andre if you are working to establish these capabilities. Next slide. So as I mentioned earlier, the lab has been around since 1943. There's a bridge that connects the town to the lab site. And this bridge was built in 1951, I believe. So this May will be its 70th birthday of that lab. And this procurement is for an inspection of that bridge. Mark Gonzalez is the procurement specialist. If you have lab bridge inspection capabilities, please reach out to Mark Gonzalez. Next slide. And again, like was mentioned earlier, lower tier subcontract opportunities are out there. We'll be posting the companies that are receiving these MCC awards. And so those will be opportunities for suppliers to reach out to these MCC awardees and present their capabilities and possibly establish relationships and also get a familiarity on how to do work at LANL, the lower tier sub through these MCC subcontractors. Next slide. Here's one of the possible MCC opportunities. This is the transuranic liquid waste facility. I think there's some possible lower tier subcontractor opportunities there. Keep an eye on our website for this one, and we'll be posting the procurement specialist information that goes with this. But again, it's a good opportunity for suppliers to possibly team with an MCC contractor to do this kind of work. Next slide. So I think Nicola mentioned earlier in her slides about the Supply Chain Management Center and their website. We utilize a lot of the agreements that are established by the Supply Chain Management Center in Kansas City. Their web address is thescmcgroup.com. They do have a forecasted opportunities or business opportunities site on their website. Some of the ones I saw that are currently available, and we get a lot of interest in some of these, are international translation services, A&E services, Cisco networking equipment, and managed print services. Most of those are looking to be RFPs issued now in FY 2021. So at that site, it provides the contact information. I went ahead and listed those on this site. If you're interested, please contact those folks. There is a registration process through the SCMC as well. They ask you for your supplier information, and you can do that through their website. Again, that's the scmcgroup.com. Next slide. So in addition to the forecasted opportunities, there are some sources, thoughts, opportunities that we kind of keep open, looking for suppliers that might be able to help us in areas where we've historically gone to other than small businesses for these requirements. If you have these relationships with some of these suppliers or manufacturers, send us your capability statements, past performance, some of the relationships that you have with these manufacturers. The next slide will cover some of those opportunities or those sources sought areas. Next slide. So NQA1, quite often we don't see a lot of small businesses that have NQA1. I know it's a costly and difficult certification to maintain. If you're a small business and have a relationship with a large business that has this capability, or if you're a large business that has this capability, send that information to us, and we will forward it to our quality assurance folks, some of the folks out in the field that are working in these areas, just so they're familiar on what's out there available should the need come up for these types of certifications on one of their projects. Next slide. So again, some of the companies that we purchase from that we'd like to have some small business representatives are tied to Train, Eaton, ThyssenKrupp, some of these types of companies. If you're a small business and you have a relationship with these companies and they recognize you as somebody that's eligible to maintain their equipment, service their equipment, provide warranty services on their equipment, we'd really like to hear from you. So Janneke Rasmussen is the prime contact for most of these suppliers. Her information is listed on this slide. So reach out to Janneke and let her know if you have that capability. Next slide. Okay, so now you've heard some of the diverse types of supplies and services that Lano procures from my presentation and earlier presentations. And one thing I invite suppliers to do is to visit the many Lano YouTube videos that are out there. My favorite is shown on this slide. It's the Lano Mission slide. Just type in Lano Mission in your search bar and then go to the videos tab, and it's usually one of the first options to appear. It's only about 3 minutes long, but one of my favorite videos when it comes to providing a good visual of what the lab does, great perspective of the lab size and the complexity of the laboratory. So if you have a chance, take a look at that video. Next slide. So these virtual subcontract forums that we're hosting are on a monthly basis. Typically, they're going to be on the third Thursday of the month. Those dates are subject to change based on situations, but right now we're planning on an event on February 18th, the next one on March 18th, and that's just marked tentative because we're looking to possibly partner with the Energy, Technology, and Environmental Business Association, otherwise known as the TIBA, in March, and their event is going to be for the end of March. I believe it's March 31st, and we'll have more events on that, more details on that event next month's forum. Also want to remind everybody, as was mentioned earlier on Nicola's slides, Sandia National Lab is hosting a construction-focused event on February 9th, and I think the OSDB was partnering with them on that event as well. So one more is the annual DOE Small Business event, which is scheduled to take place in August of this year, and I'm just hoping that we'll be able to have a face-to-face outreach event around that time. That'd be nice to start doing that again. So this concludes my presentation. Lots of information and opportunities presented today. Again, I wanted to say thank you to the Lano Supplier Management Group members who played a part in organizing the event. Thank you to all your attendees. Thank you, Juliana. Thank you, Nicola. And thanks to all the presenters. Lots of great information opportunities provided today. Back to you, Juliana.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for all that great information. And again, thank you for also being such a really great partner. I don't see any questions right now in the chat. Or wait, hold on, there's one. Do you anticipate the change in administration impacting the budget of the lab?
Yeah, right now, I think it's too early to tell on that. I think we have a pretty good, robust budget this year for the lab. Like I said, last year we spent about $1 billion, with about $650 million of that going to small businesses, and I'm hoping that we can build on that and spend more this year and have more large small businesses.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So that concludes our presentation. We are going to have closing remarks by Yvonne Gonzalez, and she is the ASM Supplier Management Small Business Advocate. So Yvonne.
Thanks, Juliana. Thank you all for joining the forum today. We not only had a full agenda, but we had 710 people registered for the forum, with various states across the country represented. With this being the beginning of a new year, we wanted to make certain you were aware of the many resources and opportunities available to you and to share LANL's many procurement opportunities up front. So our theme this month was procurement opportunities. Our intention was to fill your toolbox with knowledge about how to do business with DOE, learn about the great opportunities available with the New Mexico Small Business Assistance Program, see firsthand the support from our LANL managers and technical requesters, learn about the various procurement opportunities available at LANL, and the big initiative this year, the rollout of AREBA and the importance of getting suppliers currently doing business with LANL and new suppliers wanting to do business with LANL registered. So please fill out the survey that Trish discussed earlier. It takes less than a minute to provide us with your current point of contact information so that we can then forward on that link to you. I want to once again thank all our presenters for presenting and sharing their expertise with us today. A special thanks to our guest speaker, Nicola. Appreciate the partnership with the Ostabu office, who also assists us in marketing our forums. Juliana Barbie, who always adds that special touch in being our moderator and partner. To Trish and Ashley for helping me put our forums together, and Chris Fresquez for being our supportive manager. Our next forum is scheduled for February 18th, where some of the highlights include more procurement opportunities, an Exhibit F presentation, and a biological resources presentation. Reminder that our forum is being recorded and will be available on our website at business.lanl.gov along with the PowerPoint slides. Once we receive approval to post these slides, you will receive an email from our office on their availability. Thank you all once again for your attendance. Until next time.
Again, on behalf of Los Alamos National Laboratory, thank you so much for joining, and we wish you a safe day and make it a purposeful one. Thank you.